Welcome to Daily Spark TV. I am Dr. Angela Butchester, and my guest today is Sandra Koukou, and we are going to talk about her book, The Book, A Humble Quest into the Hebrew Scriptures. I'm so excited to have her on today because I had an opportunity to have her on my radio show, and I know that you are going to love our time together. Hello, Sandra. Thank you so much for being on today.
Hello, Dr. Angela. I'm really honored to be with you today.
I'm so glad that you were able to be on with me. I so enjoyed having you on Daily Spark Radio. I'm so glad that you're able to spend time with me here today. Well, before we get started, for those who aren't familiar with who you are, what makes Sandra Sandra?
I started out studying art at Rhode Island School of Design. I paint, I do portraits. One of them turned out looking like a Rembrandt, I was told. Then I'm an archivist. I'm the archivist at the Anglican Diocese of Montreal. And I worked on my father's book, and it's about his journey into the Hebrew Bible in a prison cell in Evin prison in Iran. So I guess things lead you from one place to another in life. And I think the fact that I work in a place that is spiritually themed, I think there's a reason for that. So I'm so happy that I'm now with you and talking about this labor of love.
Mm-hmm. Now, I love the fact that you are able to continue on this path that your father kind of started. I am very much a daddy's girl, so I think that it is awesome that you were able to complete this project and to be able to move forward with it. I agree with you. Now, as far as the title of the book is concerned, how did you come about the title?
It was my father's choice. He made he did so much reading of it because it was the only the Hebrew Bible was the only book he was allowed to keep in prison. So imagine 4.5 years, and that's the only thing you have to read. So he was able to discover so many things that that it may just fly over the head of biblical scholars even. Mm-hmm. So he calls it the book to give it a lot of oomph, like he like my father, he had a love affair with God.
I like that. I like that. And for so many people, I think that as they mature spiritually, they do start to say that it is a relationship. It's more than just a far off God over there, or it's a God that was only present in biblical times, but that it becomes a real, tangible, breathing relationship that you have with God. And that changes a person. And it's something that you can't fake. It's something that really and truly is true. Now, without giving it all away, of course, can you tell us what is the book about, or what is the message that you intended for the reader?
Well, the Hebrew Bible is a very, very rich, deep, sometimes very layered piece of literature. And it's for the person who's not very, who's only knee deep into it, it could be difficult. And you may need someone to nudge you by the elbow. Which that's exactly what my dad tried to do, and he makes it user friendly. It's like the Bible 101 for dummies. So
I like that.
If I can very quickly read a paragraph written by one author,
yes.
on the back of the book, and he did a really beautiful endorsement. It's very hard to talk about this book, I have to tell you, Dr. Angela. And faced with an interviewer who is so knowledgeable and precise as you are, it helps like calm me down. But
Thank
here it is in a crunch. Nothing seemed to predestine businessman Joseph Koukou to be immersed in the study of the biblical scriptures, unjustly imprisoned for close to 5 years in the impregnable Iranian prison of Evin, from which one rarely comes out alive. He discovers inside him this faith that moves mountains, which allows him to study and decode the Jewish Bible. It is the spiritual food he shares with other prisoners, seeing in their midst a light in the corridor of their despair. Such a gift of compassion is only given to a man inhabited by an exceptional spirituality, to a point of destabilizing judges and executioners, solely by his countenance, his serene voice, and his composure in the darkest moments under the menace of imminent execution. Joseph Koukou, Orpheus, charming the guardian dog of Hades, a steadfast heart and soul that simply embraced his faith in the fate of humankind. The book's third chapter runs a chill down the spine, says this author, Raphael Levy. We plunge into the death terror of the political religious apparatus of the Iranian regime, one through which Sandra, the prisoner's daughter, weaves in and out of, fearlessly, armed solely with the determination and love of a 23-year-old girl for her father.
I
It was
love it. I love it. I love it. And just from our previous conversation, I know and understand exactly what he's saying. There is a love that you have for your father that truly comes through. And I hope that I'm able to share that with some of our viewers today, which leads me to your next question. And thank you so much for reading that. And that is about the process. How was the process of getting this information together to be published in a book when your father had such limited time and space to be able to do all of this?
Oh, thank you for that question. Here he is, my dad. He was a very, very kind, very available dad. Um, Everybody loved him. He'd walk in through the door and you'd be happy for no reason. Um, so he was, he's passed away in 2012. He lived in Great Neck in New York, and I in Montreal. We wrote this book together over the phone and email.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the best of times. We'd sit there for 2.5 hours, me editing his English, because his English was a Persian English, and I wanted to bring it into the modern speak.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel that so many people, a lot of people have read this book, and I've gotten feedback like it has changed my outlook, or I learned so much about the history and Bible history that I never knew before. Or so we had a brunch event with a panel of 5 speakers, and they were all, there was a rabbi, there was a university professor, there was the, scholars, history scholars, and very big big heads, all of them were saying that it's such a wonderful tool. Um, it's I think right now, Dr. Angela, we're not only all of us in a sort of prison, and look at him. I mean, he was in prison and he was a free man.
Yeah. Yeah.
One of the priests in our Anglican Diocese of Montreal, he wanted so much a copy of the book. So I mailed it to him and he called me. He said, just glancing through this, I just wanted to call you and tell you that, your father was a prisoner physically outside, but a free man inside.
Yes.
I am a free man, but I'm a prisoner inside.
Yeah.
He had a past and he wanted to read this book. And it's not for Jews alone, it's for anyone who lives and breathes. It's for
Mm-hmm.
our fellow human beings.
Mm-hmm. I like how you said that you wanted to bring it into like a modern English. To me, when you say that, it's like for a Christian, we may have grown up on the King James version, but now we have the NIV. We have this new international version, which uses more common language than the Old English. It doesn't make one better or worse than the other, but it simply is a version, a translation. It's depends on the reader. And I think by your being mindful about that, you allowed even a broader audience to be able to read, accept, and to hear the story that your father wanted to tell. Now, I have to ask, and you mentioned that your father passed away already, and I'm so sorry to hear that, of course. Um, but was he able to see the published work?
Thank you. Thank you so much for caring. He wasn't. What happened was we were fighting time,
Yeah.
and he was in the bed in rehab. And a few days before he passed away, and I took the manuscript to him with all the changes he wanted me to make.
Mhm.
He read the whole thing. I came back the next day. He said, it's ready to go. Just take out this one page, and I'm fine with this.
Yeah.
So, of course, as I told you, the editors, they were amazed at this book and they said it was an honor. Uh, the last one said, I just finished editing a book on Persian poetry. My dad knew a lot of Persian poetry, and she said it was an honor to work on this book. And but you see, we took a lot of things from Wikipedia, which we were fighting time. We didn't have time to.
Yeah.
So I was told that you can take the same thing that you said here, but you have to take it from a book source. So I found all, these Cambridge scholars
Oh, yeah.
and so pretty much I rewrote the whole thing, knowing, by then I was acclimated with the way he would want it to be expressed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We
Mm-hmm.
worked for 3.5 years together every night.
Oh, wow. That's amazing just to have that experience, and to be able to share that with the world and look at what we were able to accomplish. It's quite interesting. I just had a conversation literally just a few minutes ago with someone else talking about the vision that people have. And it was about Walt Disney, the Walt Disney. I was watching a program and the person was interviewing someone with the company. And they said, it's a shame, do you think Walt uh, would he didn't get a chance to see this finished product, talking about Walt Disney. He didn't get a chance to finish seeing this. And the person's response was something like, but he saw it first. He was able, because it was in his mind's eye what he wanted. So in fact, he did see a version of the finished product, though it
Yeah.
may not have manifest. So I love how he said, it's fine, take this out, and it's good to go. So what a blessing that he was able to at least get that far with you. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, when you were deciding on what to include and not to include in the book, was it more so just for time, or were you thinking about, we don't want to give too much information and bore the reader, because sometimes people's minds wander? Was it about just trying to get the main parts of the story out, or how did you decide what to choose and what to exclude?
That's a beautiful question. My dad, I was thoroughly amazed because while we worked together, um, he had such a precise idea of what he wanted. And I was like just letting him lead me by the hand.
Yeah.
So, and sometimes when you're editing someone's work or translating someone's work, you just try to do the wording and the material, put it together. I have to tell you, it wasn't until after the whole thing was edited and I got to read it one last time before sending it to the editor that I really got it, what he was trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
It's so well woven together.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying this because I'm a daughter and he's my hero. It's like
Right.
I had so much fun working with this because for me it was a journey. It was a discovery.
Yeah.
How much knowledge he had, and at the same time, how much sincerity and what an intimate relationship he
Mm-hmm.
had with his creator, which I grew up that way. And I mean, I always took it for granted, but when I saw what he his thoughts, I began to realize who I am. And I
Mm-hmm.
encourage everyone out there, all of your viewers, to think about it. If you have a chance to ask your father or mother to tell you stories, um,
Mm-hmm.
it's such a blessing for them, but even more so for you.
Absolutely. It's so funny that you say that, because my my siblings, my other family members, they laugh because one of my favorite aunts is the historian of the family, and she has since passed away. It's been many years now, but I've kind of taken up that mantle, and I am able, even though I am the youngest sibling, I am able to fill in many times those missing pieces of the stories. And they say, well, how do you know that? And it's like, well, I asked the question. I spent time with grandmother, or I asked uncle, or I asked that
That's
cousin,
so important.
tell me these stories. Don't let these recipes, you know, don't let them go by the wayside. And considering my grandmother was born in 1907, um, I have such a rich resource in her alone, in all of that knowledge that she had. So I have to agree. I have to agree with you. It is so important that we spend time with our family members and we get those stories, and don't let those stories be forgotten. Don't let them go by the wayside. I love that. I love that. Now, you have the published work out. The book is available for everyone to purchase. Do you have any other aspirations for this book, or are there other projects that you're working on?
Everyone who read it is telling me that chapter 3 must be put into a movie. So I'm waiting to be discovered.
Right. I love
I,
it.
I think it would be a gift to the world. I really do, because right now everyone's talking about Iran and everyone's
Hmm.
talking about faith.
Hmm.
And he was a bridge builder, my father.
Hmm.
And he wanted to say something about who he is.
Yeah.
And for him, a lot of that had to do with how he discovered himself in
Hmm.
prison. In
Hmm.
prison, uh, he narrowly escaped execution just by the resolve and the beauty that this study of the Bible um, gave him. That's why it's hard to talk about
Hmm.
it. All I can say is it's anyone who's read it has told me that, like the part where I was saying how I saved his life. I stood in front of the car of the judge, wouldn't let him go in. They came out with a rifle, wanted to push me in,
No.
but the judge, who was a ruthless killer, um, he recognized me from my white veil because I followed him in home. Um, I don't even know how I did such things.
Right.
It's just,
Right.
for me, looking back, I mean, this book for me was such a precious experience because it connected me back in a time when we were like living in the Middle Ages. And I can't
Hmm.
believe that I'm out here in the civilized world and this part of the world accepted me, with open arms. I'm able to publish, I'm able to work. Um, People back in my native land of Iran, they're living like in one big concentration camp.
Hmm.
And you know, a man like this who could lift up the spirits of his cellmates and make, not waste his time, use it wisely, and
Hmm.
share something that gives young and old a camera into the mind of a healthy mind that can be positive in the worst of circumstances. I think if anyone who reads this book and happens not to be Jewish like my dad would be inspired to go deeper into his own faith or her own faith,
Hmm.
just by the fact that he was a bridge builder and the God of Abraham is the God of all of us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And what a wonderful way to end this interview. And I was going to say that just being a bridge builder bridges us all together, because that's right. We all believe in the God of Abraham, and that brings us together. I love it. Well, thank you, Sandra Koukou, so much for spending time with us, for being able to be that daughter that stood in the gap to help bring this beautiful work to the rest of us. And I know that your dad is just so proud of you, and if he were here, I'm sure he would tell you just that. Thank you so much for sharing your book with us. It is truly amazing. Thank you.
God bless you, Angela. And you know what? He's here, he's watching. I'm firmly convinced.
Absolutely. I'm the same way. I know that they're smiling down on us, and they're so proud of the work that we're doing. One last time before I let you go, if you could please, can you remind everyone the title of your book? Where can we get a copy, and how do we stay in contact with you?
So the name of the book is The Book, meaning the Hebrew Bible, A Humble Quest into the Hebrew Scriptures. It's written by Joseph Heskel Koukou and edited by myself, Sandra Koukou. You can get a copy on Amazon. You can get a copy from authorhouse.com. And I have an inventory of 250 books in my basement. You can just write to me at smilingsandra26 at gmail.com, and I'll send you a copy.
I love it. Thank you again, Sandra, for being on with me today.
Thank you, Dr. Angela.
You could be spreading the coronavirus without realizing you have it, so do your part and stay home. It's important to limit in-person interaction with anyone outside of your immediate household, but phone and video chat are safe ways to connect. It's also important to limit social gatherings. If you need essential items like food and medicine, try using a delivery service. If you must leave your house for essential items, or if you want to take a walk for exercise, make sure to wear a cloth face covering. Stay at least 6 feet away from other people. Try not to touch frequently touched surfaces like light signals, street signs, or benches. And wash your hands with soap and water for at least 20 seconds as often as possible. This advice applies to people of any age, including teens and younger adults. It takes all of us to slow the spread of the coronavirus, so stay home unless absolutely necessary. Visit coronavirus.gov for the latest information.
We're home during COVID-19, but we're not alone. New Life Pastoral Counseling can help. For affordable Christian counseling, visit newlifepastoralcounseling.com or call 562-209-2083 today.
A natural disaster may force you to evacuate, and the coronavirus could impact your emergency plans. So take steps now to help your family and community prepare. Keep a supply kit stocked with cloth face coverings, disinfecting supplies, and hand sanitizers. Check with local officials about what shelter spaces will be open during quarantine efforts. And remember to review the CDC's guidelines with the whole family. Disasters won't wait. Neither should you. Visit ready.gov/plan to make a plan today.
Hi, do you have something to share? Be a guest. Want to sponsor an episode? Visit drangela.chester.com. Thanks again for watching Daily Spark TV.
I hope that you have been inspired, empowered, and enlightened today. As always, may you continue to receive God's grace and mercy in all that you do. Remember that you are blessed in the Lord. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.